The hospital room was stagnant, a sterile mixture of hyper-filtered air and cleaning products. The monitors beeped, but increasingly slowly. The end was near. Thomas looked down at his father's hand, covered with tape and bandages, concealing an IV, controlling the slow drip of morphine, easing the pain through these final days. The fingers protruding from the medical entourage were thick and craggled from 41 years of repair and maintenance at the railroad. After 3 years of retirement, his fingertips still reflected the slight stain of black grease that used to permeate his skin and ultimately led to the cancer taking his life. Visiting hours over and exhausted from hours of nurses and doctors, Thomas went back to the house, his childhood home that seemed frozen in time. Since his mother's death, the small updates and upkeep slowed down until they stopped altogether. A small layer of dust covered every surface, except for a small space on the kitchen table where his father took his meals, and an old tobacco box on the coffee table in front of the TV. It was old, but spotless, and showed every trapping of careful and dutiful attention. The couch, worn and wasted from years of watching baseball games, enveloped Thomas as he sat in front of the box. It was rare to see it out, his father shepherding it back and forth to his bedroom where it remained whenever company came over, and when he slept. With a deep breath, Thomas opened the lid, and a plume of sweet, distant tobacco arose, along with the unmistakable smell of old cardboard paper. Greeted with the familiar faces of Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, and Jackie Robinson, Thomas gently lifted the stack of baseball cards out of the box. Feeling the stack in his hand was a cruel reminder of how few were left. His father used to have thousands of cards, but he had to sell most of them when the railroad suspended their pension fund just 13 months after he retired. He was given a modest payout, but it wasn't enough. Then cancer hit and stole the rest. The house was mortgaged, and anything of value was sold to help keep the bills paid and the lights on. He could never bring himself to sell the mantle, though. Its edges were dark with the grease residue ever present on his hands. He had pulled it fresh from a pack when he was a kid, and he kept his cards in nice shape. But the 70 years of showing and handling the card had taken its toll. He used to watch the Yankees games with his cards and hold each player's card as they bat, a talisman to help his team. Even after Mick retired, he would still bring out the 52 Topps cards for the World Series games. Thomas turned over the card and moved it slowly to his nose, taking in the scents, transporting him to an earlier time when his father's hard union work put food on the table, a roof over their heads, and a car in the garage. There was old cardboard, yes, but the unmistakable combo of Lucky Strike and axle grease, a smell that would transfer to Thomas's hair every time his dad tousled his head in loving approval, a smell that would lodge itself in his sweaters with every awkward hug. The meager stack of baseball cards were all that his father had left to pass down to his only kid. But Thomas knew he could never sell them. Any dealer or card buyer would see the grease-stained edges and talk of decreasing value, of poor condition, of numerical grades, attempting to distill a lifetime of honest work to a number between 1 and 10. They would then take the cards and seal them in plastic case slabs, forever trapping the slightly acrid odor of the paper and the grease and the cigarettes, entombing the final legacy of a life honestly lived. He carefully placed the stack of cards back in the box, gently closing the lid. His hands lingered on the top, pulling away only to check his vibrating phone. The hospital was calling, but he didn't have to answer. He knew. Thanks for watching. And here's to 500 subscribers more on Baseball Card Stories, Legends, and Lore.